Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters. There are hearts listening right now that are tired from waiting. People who have raised their hands to Allah again and again, whispering the same dua through tears, through sleepless nights, through moments of hopelessness. Some are beginning to wonder whether their prayers are even being heard anymore. Some are smiling in front of the world while silently carrying disappointment deep inside. But my brothers and sisters, never think for one moment that Allah has abandoned you. Every sincere dua reaches Allah. Every tear is seen by Him. Every pain hidden inside your chest is known to Him completely. The problem is not that Allah cannot answer your prayer. The problem is that human beings want everything according to their own timing, while Allah's wisdom operates beyond what we can understand. Sometimes we ask Allah for something immediately, but Allah sees what tomorrow holds. We see only our desires, while Allah sees the consequences, the timing, the hidden blessings, and even the dangers we cannot recognize ourselves. This is why delays are not always punishments. Sometimes the delay itself is part of the miracle. Think about how many times in your life Allah protected you from things you once desperately wanted. At the time, you cried over closed doors, unanswered prayers, and broken plans. But later you realized Allah was saving you from pain you could not yet see. The believer learns to trust that if Allah delays something, there is wisdom hidden within that delay. There are people today who feel spiritually exhausted because they have been making dua for years. They pray for healing, for marriage, for children, for financial ease, for peace in their hearts, for guidance, for relief from anxiety and hardship. Shaitan whispers to them that nothing is changing. But Shaitan wants believers to lose hope, because hopelessness weakens faith. Allah loves those who continue turning back to Him even while waiting. Imagine the beauty of a servant who keeps making dua despite the delay, who keeps praying despite the hardship, who keeps trusting Allah even when life feels uncertain. That kind of faith is beloved to Allah because it proves the heart still believes in His mercy. Many people think miracles only come in dramatic ways, but sometimes the greatest miracle is what Allah is doing inside your heart while you wait. Perhaps Allah is teaching you patience. Perhaps He is purifying your soul. Perhaps He is drawing you closer to Him through your struggle. Sometimes if we received everything immediately, we would never truly learn reliance upon Allah. The dunya teaches people to expect instant results. Everyone wants quick success, quick happiness, quick answers. But faith teaches us something deeper. Faith teaches us to trust Allah even during silence. It teaches us to believe that Allah is still working behind the scenes even when nothing seems to be changing. You may feel forgotten by people. You may feel tired from carrying burdens nobody understands. But Allah has not forgotten you. The same Allah who created the heavens and the earth is fully aware of every prayer hidden within your heart. And perhaps right now, while you are worrying and losing sleep, Allah is already arranging the very miracle you have been waiting for all along. Allah never ignores a sincere dua. This is one of the most comforting truths a believer can hold on to during moments of pain and uncertainty. Yet many people struggle with this when life becomes difficult. They raise their hands for months or even years, asking Allah for relief, guidance, healing, love, success, or peace, but nothing seems to change immediately. Slowly, disappointment begins to creep into the heart. Questions begin to form inside the mind. Why is my dua not being answered? Has Allah forgotten me? Am I not worthy of His mercy? These thoughts become heavier with time, especially when a person feels emotionally exhausted from waiting. But the believer must remember something powerful. Allah hears every single dua. Not one whisper escapes His knowledge. Not one tear falls without Him seeing it. Human beings may ignore your pain. People may fail to understand your struggles. But Allah knows every detail hidden within your heart. Even the duas you cannot put into words are known to Him completely. The problem is not that Allah cannot answer your prayers. The problem is that human beings often expect Allah to answer according to their timing, their understanding, and their desires. We want immediate results because we see only the present moment. Allah sees the entire future. We look at life through limited human vision, while Allah's wisdom encompasses everything. There are moments when a person desperately wants something, believing it will finally bring happiness into their life. They make endless dua for it. They cry over it. They think their peace depends entirely upon receiving it. Yet Allah delays it or removes it completely. At first the person feels hurt and confused. But later in life, they sometimes realize Allah was protecting them from something they could not understand at the time. This is why delayed duas are not signs of rejection. Sometimes the delay itself is a mercy from Allah. Sometimes what you are asking for requires preparation before it enters your life. Sometimes your heart needs to grow stronger first. Sometimes Allah is protecting you from harm hidden inside the very thing you desire. Human beings often focus only on what they want, but Allah focuses on what is best for them. That difference changes everything. A child may cry for something harmful because they do not understand the danger, while a loving parent refuses it out of protection. How much greater then is Allah's wisdom and mercy compared to human understanding? There are people who once begged Allah for relationships that eventually would have destroyed them emotionally. There are people who cried over opportunities they later realized would have led them away from Allah. There are people who thought their lives were falling apart because certain doors closed, only to discover years later that those closed doors protected them from enormous pain. When believers truly understand this, they stop seeing delays as abandonment. Instead, they begin seeing them as part of Allah's perfect wisdom. This does not mean waiting becomes easy. Waiting can be painful. It can test the heart deeply. There are nights when people cry because they feel emotionally exhausted from uncertainty. There are moments when the silence feels heavy. But faith means trusting Allah even when the answers are not yet visible. One of the greatest spiritual dangers is losing hope during the waiting period. Shaitan constantly whispers negativity into the hearts of believers. He wants people to believe their duas are pointless. He wants them to stop asking Allah. He wants them to become hopeless and spiritually disconnected. This is because dua itself is an act of worship. Every time a believer raises their hands sincerely, they are showing dependence upon Allah. Allah loves when His servants continue turning back to Him repeatedly. Imagine the beauty of a servant who keeps making dua despite hardship, who keeps praying despite delays, who keeps trusting Allah while tears fall from their eyes. That kind of sincerity is beloved to Allah because it reflects deep faith. Sometimes Allah delays the answer to a dua because He wants the servant to come closer to Him. During hardship, people often pray with greater sincerity than they ever prayed before. Their hearts become softer. Their connection with Allah becomes deeper. They begin depending upon Him more completely. In moments of desperation, the soul often becomes spiritually awakened in ways comfort could never create. This dunya teaches people to expect instant gratification. Everything today moves quickly. People want quick success, quick wealth, quick relationships, quick solutions. Social media has made patience even more difficult because people constantly compare their lives with others. Someone sees another person getting married, becoming successful, or achieving dreams, and immediately begins questioning why their own duas seem delayed. But Allah writes every person's story differently. Your timeline is not someone else's timeline. What Allah gives one person at 20 may come to another person at 40. What matters is not when blessings arrive, but whether they bring goodness into your life when they do arrive. A believer understands that Allah's timing is always perfect, even when it feels painful in the moment. There are blessings that would have destroyed us if they came too early. There are opportunities that require emotional, spiritual, or mental growth, before we are truly ready for them. Think about the stories of the prophets. Their lives were filled with waiting, hardship, and unanswered questions. Prophet Yaqub cried for years after losing his beloved son Yusuf. Prophet Zakaria waited many years before receiving the blessing of a child. Prophet Ayub suffered through immense pain and illness before relief arrived. Yet none of them gave up on Allah. Their stories teach us that waiting does not mean Allah has abandoned you. Sometimes the greatest miracles arrive after the longest periods of patience. Allah often prepares blessings in ways human beings cannot understand. Many people only think of miracles as dramatic events. But sometimes the greatest miracle is what Allah is doing inside you while you wait. Perhaps Allah is teaching you patience. Perhaps He is cleansing your heart from arrogance. Perhaps He is teaching you reliance upon Him instead of dependence upon worldly things. Sometimes the struggle itself becomes the reason a person grows spiritually stronger. There are people today who are closer to Allah because of unanswered du'as. Pain brought them back to prayer. Hardship brought them back to the Quran. Delays brought sincerity into their hearts. Had they received everything immediately, they may have become spiritually distant. This is why believers must be careful not to judge Allah's plan based only on temporary emotions. Human beings see one chapter of life while Allah sees the entire story. A moment of delay may eventually lead to years of blessings. The beauty of dua is that no sincere prayer is ever wasted. Even if the exact thing you asked for does not arrive in the way you expected, Allah still responds. Sometimes He gives what you asked for. Sometimes He gives something better. Sometimes He removes harm you never knew was coming. Sometimes He stores rewards for you in the hereafter beyond what you can imagine. Imagine standing before Allah on the day of judgment and discovering that the du'as you thought were unanswered actually became enormous rewards waiting for you. Scholars mention narrations describing how believers may wish none of their du'as had been answered in the dunya after seeing the rewards Allah prepared for them in the akhirah. This perspective changes the way a believer views hardship. Instead of becoming bitter, they become hopeful. Instead of assuming Allah has forgotten them, they remind themselves that Allah's mercy is greater than their understanding. There are moments when the believer feels emotionally weak, and that is normal. Even strong believers experience sadness, fear, and exhaustion. Islam does not teach people to suppress human emotions, but faith teaches us where to take those emotions. We take them to Allah, cry to Allah. Speak to Him honestly. Tell Him about your fears, your disappointments, your dreams, and your pain. Allah never becomes tired of hearing His servants. Human beings may eventually grow impatient listening to your struggles, but Allah's mercy never ends. Sometimes relief arrives suddenly after years of waiting. A person spends so long feeling stuck that they cannot even imagine things changing anymore. Then one day Allah opens doors they never expected. One phone call changes everything. One opportunity changes everything. One moment transforms an entire life. This is why believers should never give up moments before their miracle arrives. Shaitan wants you to stop making dua because he knows how powerful sincere dua truly is. But the believer continues asking Allah with hope, even when answers seem delayed. Faith is not about understanding every detail of Allah's plan. Faith is about trusting Him even when you do not understand. It is believing that Allah's wisdom is greater than your fears, your confusion, and your impatience. And perhaps right now, while you are questioning the delay, while you are crying in private, while you are wondering whether your prayers are being heard, Allah is already preparing the exact answer your heart has been waiting for all along. If this reminder touched your heart, then subscribe to this channel for more powerful Islamic reminders that strengthen your faith, bring peace to your heart, and help you stay connected to Allah every single day.